Hey Cougar fans, Dan Gensler, Sports Information Director with USF head women's basketball coach Travis Traphagen. University of Sioux Falls women's team yesterday reached the top 25 in the USA Today coaches poll for the first time in school history. The Cougars are now 14-4 in league play, second place in the NSIC South, 20-4 overall. 20 wins for the first time in the D2 era. Coach, talk a big weekend ahead, but first let's just talk a little bit about the making the poll and reaching 20 wins.
Yeah, I think the poll, the top 25, that's just to kind of give back to our kids. I think they deserve to be in the top 25. Thought we maybe could have got there maybe a couple weeks earlier, and if it wasn't us, maybe somebody else from the Northern Sun. A very good league, and to only have one team ranked at this point, I was really glad to be able to finally get in. So that's for our kids, all the hard work they put in, and we well understand the important poll that we care about comes out next Wednesday. That's the one that we for sure would love to be in that top 8. But right now we did have a great weekend. We did get in that top 25, and just knowing that we beat 2 quality opponents this past weekend with Minnesota Crookston on Friday and Bemidji on Saturday, we know we have our work cut out for us as well on this upcoming weekend, where we have a very good Wayne State team who beat us for one of our losses this year. And then anytime you have a rival that comes in with Augustana, the last time we played those guys, both teams defended very, very well. I think we held them actually under 30% shooting for the game, but we weren't much better either. We shot like 36. So 2 teams that are going to know each other very, very well, but these 2 games are probably 2 of the more important games of the year for us if we want to maintain where we're at and hope to be able to be selected potentially here in a couple weeks for maybe some postseason play.
7 wins in a row. You do have Wayne State coming in, who has have been somewhat of a nemesis for the Cougars, and they'll bring a good team in. Coach Kilsmeyer has always battles, his team battles, and then on Saturday, Coach Krauth and his team come in, and he brings another talented team into the Stewart Center. But you are at home, and that's got to make you feel good.
Yeah. Anytime that we've only lost our 1 game this year, and that was against Winona. On that unfortunate situation. So sometimes I say maybe we lost half a game at home this year. I shouldn't say that. But we've been pretty good at home thus far this year, and I'm sure glad that for us even to get a split out of that road trip when we beat Augie at their place and lost to Wayne, most people are pretty excited about even getting a split on that trip. So Wayne State could be a little bit different. Their leading scorer, I believe, is out for the year, broke her foot. Kind of got that confirmed here yesterday. So still a very good basketball team.
Right.
Without Ballinger, they still went into Northern State on Saturday and beat Northern this past weekend. So probably the biggest difference for us is how we prepare, what we want to do against Wayne State, where first time we mixed in a lot of zone and man. Not sure what we'll do this time, but definitely feel bad for the Ballinger kid. You don't
Right.
ever want anybody to get hurt. And again, who knows? Maybe she'll end up playing. But I heard that she had broke her foot. So, but I believe they really have one of the best players in the league with Maggie Schultz. So to me, she's just going to pick up that much more of the scoring load. I think that they'll look to the Mirren kid, their transfer point guard, to be able to pick up some of the scoring. So they got great players. And again, if they weren't very, very well coached and have great players, there's no way they would have went into Northern State and won on Saturday. So we know we'll have our hands full. And again, the thing that's kind of the neutralizer against Wayne State, I always believe, is their zone defense is very, very good. Contest every shot, make it tough to score inside. So, they just have a way of, if you want to use the term, uglying up the game a little bit, or forcing you not to be quite in the rhythm that you want to be. The first time we played, we looked very, very good for about 17 minutes, and we looked really, really bad for about 23. And it wasn't all about what we just didn't do. Wayne State had a lot to do with that in the second half, making some adjustments on maybe what wasn't working for them. So we know what type of team's coming in, and we'll definitely be ready.
This is going to be an emotional weekend. For a a lot of the seniors, it's the last regular season weekend here at the Stewart Center. There's Tegan Molden and Allison and Taylor Varsho, and five of them. And Taylor Varsho is going to probably be one of the candidates for Player of the Year, honestly, in the league. But they're all good friends, and so speak to that a little bit about that.
It's a great group, and a tough group to replace, to be quite honest with you. I feel like staff, we've addressed some of the needs thus far that we're pretty excited about, some kids coming in, but we're not done yet. I mean, and it's always going to be hard to replace like a Taylor Varsho, but I think that's going to almost make it more special this weekend, where I don't think I'm going to have to say a lot to get our kids ready to play. And one, just because we've had it's turning into a pretty good rival with Wayne. Our kids will be ready to play, no question, on that day. And then when you turn around and play Augie on senior nights, I'm sure there'll be a great crowd. And the fun thing when we play Augie, it's a huge rival, but again, our kids all get along pretty good. I mean, I see that some of their kids and our kids hang out all the time, and hey, we beat them at their place, so don't think for 1 second that Augie wants to get swept by USF in a season. So, I just hope for those kids, everybody keeps their emotions in check. It's what I'll tell their kids, it's the last regular season, but it's not the last home game. We'll have a home game as well. First round.
That's clinched already, right?
Yes, that's clinched already. So we'll get a first round home game for the playoffs. So yeah, our kids, they're going to be ready to play. There'll be a lot of emotion, just like anybody that's playing on their senior weekend. But again, they'll be ready, and we're not going to probably talk a ton about it. We'll give them their hugs and thank them for everything they've done before the game. But we'll keep all that for the end of the season.
There's a lot of firsts this year. I mean, you get to the 20 wins. You won 14 games for the first time. Now you get a home playoff game, which is also a first. So that has to kind of, I mean, you have a lot of things to play for. You had, obviously, the regional rankings will come out for the first time next week, so you're playing for that this weekend. But it's been kind of, we're still a lot of things to do yet this season, but it has to be special the way this season is starting to play out.
And sometimes you always wish, kind of in the back of my mind, I kind of thought we could have this type of year. Just when you get to have a bunch of seniors, you look at, I'll compare ourselves to a Northern States from a year ago, who had a bunch of seniors. And you went there, and it's just like my job becomes a lot easier when you got a bunch of juniors and seniors playing. And they're really good basketball players and great kids. So, yeah, there's been a lot of firsts. I don't want to sit there and say you expect it, because this league is very, very difficult to win basketball games. And we've had a lot of wins this year in convincing fashion, and we've had a lot of games that, I mean, we haven't looked very good.
Right.
But I think those are the games that sometimes you're more proud of, that your senior leadership and your juniors, kids that have been there, find a way. Even when you win games, sometimes we've had enough success, people will come up and say, well, hey, what's wrong? You guys didn't play well. Well, as a coach, you figure out in a hurry you're not going to look great every single night, because the other opponent has something to do with that, trying to take away some of your strengths as well. So we've put together a great season so far, but we, like you just mentioned, we have a lot more to be able to play for, and it really starts on Friday against a very good Wayne State team.
Two things real quickly, Trap, is specifically you've had the bench come off. I mean, you've started opening up some of your bench play, Hayden Becker and Lexi Lee and so on. I mean, players like that have really, J.C. Hukers come in, and those players have really helped you out.
Yeah, and right now, quite honestly, they're starting to get to the point where they're earning some minutes. And what gets hard is it just depends upon each game. I mean, there's times that I go into each game, with those three kids that you just mentioned, saying, hey, they're probably going to get some time. And then all of a sudden, as the game kind of gets rolling, and sometimes it's just trusting veteran leadership.
Yeah.
One of the teams that we played, Augie, the first time we played a pretty narrow bench, didn't play a whole lot. But as we were really defending them really well and taking them away from what we wanted to do in that game, I just kind of felt a lot of trust in my seniors and my juniors more than anything, to be able to stretch that bench. But these kids are playing hard every single day in practice. They're getting a lot better, and and when they get their opportunities, they're making the most of them. So we tell every kid on our team, you never know when your number is going to be called, so just be ready. And sometimes that number might be called, and sometimes it might not be. But again, those kids are going to be potentially really important this year, if not next year, and definitely into the future. So we're going to continue to try to get better. And again, if one or two of these kids can help get into our rotation and help out with getting maybe a little bit more rest for a couple kids, I think that'll be very, very beneficial, especially as we start getting down to tournament time, where, you know, if we're fortunate enough to win, you know, on Wednesday in the tournament and get to the Pentagon, you got to play 3 games in 3 days, and sometimes, I mean, depth is going to be probably a big thing, making sure that you can stay fresh and healthy.
Coach Trapp, thank you for stopping by and talking to us. Remember, fans, this weekend the games start at 6 p.m. against Wayne State on Friday night here at the Stewart Center, and then, as Trapp mentioned, on Saturday, Senior Day, 4 o'clock start time, tip-off for Augustana. Thanks, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Dan.